Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's so wonderful to see all of your faces and or names. It is perfectly fine for you to have your camera off. It's been quite a week for the world, so whatever is the capacity you have, we're just glad that you're here. So TBT North, aka Mara, can you do me a favor and start sharing the screen? Amazing, thank you. So we are going to get started with the words of Hinema Tov, which means that we are so grateful for all of us to be here together, to dwell together. Hinema Tov u'manayim, Shabbat achim gam yachad. 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 So, as I said before we were singing Hinema Tov, I am so grateful to have all of you here so that we can celebrate Shabbat together in our holy Temple Beth Torah community. We are going to welcome Shabbat together with the lighting of the Shabbat candles, and it's my pleasure to invite Susan Amaro to light the Shabbat candles and share a blessing with us. Susan, make sure to unmute.
Sorry. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. They both went out. Sorry. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. So in the past couple of months, we've been exploring a little bit of the different Kabbalat Shabbat psalms, and we've been singing a lot about joy and new songs and all of these things that are putting us in a joyful Shabbat mood, which is wonderful. Oftentimes we need little reminders of the joy that exists in the world. This week has been a particularly challenging one in the world, with people suffering from the earthquake in Haiti, from what's going on in Afghanistan, what continues to go on with COVID, and so I wanted to channel a little bit differently, a little bit of a different Shabbat spirit this evening. And so in Psalm 29, which is part of the Kabbalat Shabbat Psalms, at the very end, we say, Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom, which means, may God grant strength to God's people, which all humans are created in God's image. So I want us to expand God's people a little bit for this evening, from just Jews to really every person who's created in God's image. And may God bestow upon God's people peace and well-being. So I want to start off, there's a little bit of a nigun that starts off this melody. So as you become comfortable with it, please feel free to sing along. Or if you just want to sit and listen, that also is just fine. We transition from praying for well-being and peace to a greeting of Shabbat of the Sabbath bride. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat lekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat lekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Hishmianu el hamyuchad Adonai echad Ushmo echad L'shem multiferet v'litchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat lekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat lekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nocha ki hi makor haberacha mirosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat lekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat lekabela. Please rise in body or spirit. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha uv'tzohala tochem unei am segula. Boi chala Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat lekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat lekabela. Wonderful. Could I ask someone to share with us this reading?
I can do it. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruits of fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Let my day be today as the one before. Let routine set my race.
Amen. Thank you. We continue with the words of Baruch Hu, which calls for us to rise in either body or spirit. Just one moment. I'm so sorry, my guitar is off today. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed Le'olam Va'ed Yalalai lai lai 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 Yalalai lai lai. We continue with the words of Ma'ariv Aravim. This comes within a broader prayer that asks, or that blesses God, that thanks God who creates light and darkness and transitions us between the two constantly. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. So, I want us to picture something. If you want to close your eyes, you can keep your eyes closed. If you want to have your eyes open, that's just fine. You have been part of a people who has been enslaved for 400 years. They have been suffering, they have been calling out to God, and it feels like nothing has come of it. No prayers have been answered. And then all of a sudden, this happens, you are able to leave, you are leaving, and then all of a sudden, right as you feel as though you're about to be free, you hit this wall of water. That could potentially cause us to mistrust, to doubt hope. Mi Chamocha and our people's story is a testament to the fact that we cannot doubt hope. We need to hold on to some semblance of hope, because we will get to the other side of our Red Sea, whatever that Red Sea is for each of us. We will get to the other side. We will again. Maybe what we're picturing on the other side might not be the other side that we were expecting, but we have gotten to the other side of the Red Sea, and we will again. And when we do, we will sing, Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai, who is like you among those who are worshipped. Before we sing the words of Hashkivenu, we think of those who are in need of protection. We ask during Hashkivenu to grant us a Sukkot Shalom, to grant us a shelter of peace And for so many in our world right now, they are in need of a shelter of peace. Shomer et Gerim, guardian of the others among us, we turn to you with deep concern for the immigrants and refugees, those who have come seeking survival, safety, and sustenance. Help us to stand up for the vulnerable and protect the exposed with commitment, creativity, courage, and success, as righteous non-Jews have done for us, saving lives and preserving families, affirming your image reflected in each and every soul. Ma'aseh va'oz, Ezra b'tzarot, refuge and strength, true helper in times of trouble, grant us the wisdom, understanding, and knowledge to save the defenseless from all harm, to shield and sustain those at risk of deportation and detention, and to sustain our advocacy and support. With your teachings of loving kindness, human kinship, and faithful justice. We pause before our tefillah this evening to think about the prayers that we came to services this evening needing to say. Whatever the prayers are in your heart, whether it's something you've been sitting with all week, whether it's something that is coming to you at this moment, we pause for a moment just to think about the prayers that we'll make sure we say by the end of the service. Let's take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And as we continue with Adonai Svatai, we're going to repeat the words a few times. So as you feel ready, as you feel prepared to pray, I encourage you to rise in either body or spirit. And once we are all risen, either on a spiritual level or on a physical level, we will continue with our tefillah together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Le'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol atah Rav leHoshia, Borid Hatal, Mechalkel Chayim v'Chesed, Mechaye HaKol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayim emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melach, Melech memit umachaya, Umasmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman ata lahachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kadoshim b'chol yom yehallelujah Selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please take a moment for your own silent prayer. So, this week's Torah portion is called Ki Tetzei, which means when you go out. However, the next word that comes after Ki Tetzei is Lemilchama, when you go out to war, which is the Torah portion this week, but I'm not going to lie, I did not have it in me to talk about war this evening. So instead, I wanted to share a story that fit a little bit more of the healing that I needed for this week, and I hope that it's something that you'll find meaningful this evening as well. It was the first day after the people of the village had ushered in Rosh Hashanah, a new Jewish year, and the villagers should have been so excited. They should have been jumping for joy and singing lots of songs and dancing in the streets because New Year's are supposed to be sweet. When the Tsar found out that it was going to be a new Jewish year and just didn't want any joy to be had. So he sent an emissary to the village and declared that this emissary should share this message. The Tsar mocks the God of the Jews, the emissary said. You gather in your synagogues and you pray to your God, and you say that your God knows everything, and that your God can see everything, and that your God is all-powerful. Yet your God is invisible. The Tsar doesn't believe any of that. So the Tsar asks, if what you say of your God is true, then can your God become visible merely by wishing it? There was a hush in the crowd, and the villagers were looking to one another. Do you know the answer? Can God become visible? They were so unsure of how to answer this question. If God is all-powerful and God is invisible, how can God see God's self? Before he departed, the emissary said, the Tsar gives you 1 week. 1 week to find the answer to this question. And if at the end of this 1 week you cannot come up with a satisfactory answer, then the Tsar is going to close your synagogue. And you will have nowhere to go for your Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. And so as you can imagine, the people of this village were beside themselves. What are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to come up with an answer? If God is all-powerful and God is invisible, how can God see God's self? Unable to find an answer, they did what many Jews do when they can't answer a Jewish question. They turned to their rabbi. And their rabbi was listening as they said, Rabbi, the Tsar's emissary has come and told us that if we can't answer this question, we can't pray together for Yom Kippur. If God is all-powerful and God is invisible, how can God see God's self? And so the rabbi thought about it, and he closed his eyes, and he stroked his beard, and he began to hum a nigun, a wordless melody. Yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai. A nigun that puts us in the high holiday spirit. He hoped that perhaps this nigun would bring him the answer. And he came up with nothing. So he said, you know what, I'm going to need some time. I'm going to turn back to my rabbinical school notes and I'm going to get back to you. And so the rabbi went home and he studied and he looked at his notes and he prayed and he thought and he studied some more and he prayed some more and he still couldn't come up with anything. And it was getting close to Yom Kippur. He was starting to freak out a little bit. So he decided, you know what? I'm in the same room studying and praying and this is not helping. You know what I need to do? I need to get out of the house. I need to go somewhere else. Maybe a different place will put me in a different frame of mind. I'm going to go to the forest. And so he thought that perhaps by going to the forest, he would sit among the trees and the wild animals and the flowers, and perhaps, like the great Reb Nachman, a Hasidic rabbi, he would be inspired by the pieces of nature around him. And so he kept on saying to himself, if God is all-powerful and God is invisible, how does God see God's self? And he said it over and over to himself, and he just couldn't come up with an answer. And even in the forest, he still couldn't come up with this answer. And all of a sudden, it was one day left until the Tsar's emissary needed that answer. So he decided, you know what, the forest isn't helping. I think I need to go back home. And as he was walking on his path back to the village, he spotted one of the children from the religious school. And the child said, Rabbi, why do you look so sad? The rabbi explained that for almost an entire week he'd been thinking about an answer to a question, and he still couldn't come up with the answer. And the child said, well, Rabbi, what's the question? If God is all-knowing, and God is all-powerful, but God is invisible, how does God see God's self? The rabbi asked. And the child smiled at the rabbi. Oh, Rabbi, I know the answer to that question. You taught us that last week in Hebrew school. Don't you remember? And the rabbi was astonished. What on earth are you talking about? And the child said, don't you remember? You taught us that each person is created in God's image. Each person is created b'tselem Elohim. So when God wants to see God's self, all God has to do is look at one of us. We are God's mirror. And so that message, the idea that we are each God's mirror, I think is the message I want to share with all of us this evening. On Shabbat and throughout the high holidays, we are going to be praying to God. We're going to be asking for all of these things. We're going to be asking for forgiveness and comfort and protection and love and sustenance and all of these different things that we can ask for God, asking God for a good new year. And while it's important to notice that there is power beyond us as human beings, we also are part of God's image that helps bring those things to be. We are the ones who bring protection and love and sustenance for one another. And in a world right now where a number of human beings are in need of a greater power than themselves, let us serve in a way that honors the piece of us that is created in God's image. And let's come together so that we can protect one another, so that we can bring peace and protection to one another. And so when we read about Ki tetzei lemilchama, when you go out to war, that will seem like words of the past, things that we don't know anymore. Can you hear it, Zon? May this be God's will. And we transition from the words of Torah to thinking about those in need of healing, healing of body, healing of spirit, healing of soul. If you are thinking of someone if you are thinking of someone who's in need of healing at this moment, please feel free to type their name in the chat, and we'll take a moment just to read the names of all of those being typed in the chat. For all those names that we've typed and those that we've kept in our hearts, we sing together the words of Misha Berach, wishing for all of those in need of healing, a full and complete healing. We continue with the words of Aleinu. Please rise in either body or spirit. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kamishbechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest nights, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. This evening, we call to memory those who have passed in the past weeks, past weeks, and during this time in years past. On this evening, we remember congregants and family members who have been called to their eternal rest in recent days. Please rise as your loved one's name is read. Alexandra Lee Turetsky, daughter of Jessica, also from, and Matthew Turetsky. We remember with tenderness as well those who have died in the past 30 days. If you are observing Shloshim, please rise as I recite the name of your loved one. Carol Bitter, mother of Arlen Peavy, and Elaine Nagel. On this Shabbat, we remember those whose yahrzeit occurred during this past week. Please rise as your loved one's name is read. Juan Barbosa, father of Melody Barbosa Kalik. Dora Brand, remembered by Sharon Sachs. Isabel Dreyfus, remembered by Martha Garcia. Leonard Z. Sachs, father of Rick Sachs. We invite all who are observing the first year of mourning to rise at this time. And we say, Zichronam livracha, may their memories be as a blessing. And now as a full community, we all rise as we say together the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon ufchage dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei kudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru, amen. Please be seated. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Before we switch to announcements, I do just want to say I missed somebody on our list, but we are also remembering Barry Plotkin. At this moment, it is my pleasure to invite up our Honorable Sharon Sachs, who will share announcements with our community. What is going on? You are muted.
Okay.
There you go.
I'll start again. Thank you, Rabbi Zoe. Shabbat Shalom. Join us next Friday night, August 27th, for our Zoom Shabbat service, which will take place at 7 p.m. new time. The High Holiday information page on the website is your up-to-date place to learn about all the things that are happening with high holidays. There will be a full schedule of times and locations. You will be able to learn about Yitzker, the Yitzker book, and prayer book pickup. You will also be able to have opportunities to learn about spending time in front of the Ark. And we also will be offering opportunities for people to visit the sukkah. More information about that will follow. There will be 2 in-person drive-in style events on Rosh Hashanah afternoon. Soulful Stories, which is a youth program, and this is fun, a shofar in your car. Please pre-register for the Rosh Hashanah afternoon events on the High Holiday page. WTBT is accepting forms for the annual High Holiday greeting. Please see the weekly for a link for details, and please sign up your family's greeting. The Social Action Committee has once again partnered with the Alameda County Community Food Bank for our annual High Holiday food drive. The food drive is all virtual again this year, and will go from August 30th until September 27th. You'll be able to sign up via a customized link on the High Holiday information page on our website. Every dollar donated provides 2 meals for those in need. So we encourage you to sign up, and this is a great way for us to try to reach our goal of $4,000 or to exceed it. Lastly, a reminder that the California Gubernatorial election is Tuesday, 9/14. We've just updated our Social Action webpage that will give you crucial information about voting, drop-off sites, and ballot ballot tracking information. So be sure to take advantage of the updated website and to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. And last week we read Parshat Shoftim that was talking about selecting leaders that will bring us justice and bring us into a just society. So it is of the utmost importance and in line with our Jewish values. Please, please go vote. That is all I'm going to say about that. And with that, we are going to continue with the words of a blessing for the family. So if you have family nearby, if you are in the same room, in the same Zoom experience, I want you to reach out to them or to text them or to just send some blessings their way. And if you are in the same room, please feel free to hold hands or glance lovingly as we say, may God bless you and keep you. May God shine God's face upon you and be gracious to you. May God's face turn to you and grant you peace. Can you hear that sound? May this be God's will. Amen. And we now come to Kiddush. So if you have a sweet drink, whether it's wine or it's grape juice or it's some other kind of sweet beverage, I encourage you to quickly go grab it, and we will start blessing in T-3 seconds. And hopefully by the time that we are starting the blessing, you have your drink. Okay, let's go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. L'chaim. And we continue with the motzi. If you have a little piece of bread or cake or cookie or something with flour in it, I hope that you will hold on to it as we say a quick blessing, thanking God for bringing bread from the earth. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon. We are going to conclude this evening with the word Shabbat Shalom to the melody that we just learned this evening. To the melody that we just learned this evening. So we'll sing it a couple times, and hopefully as you feel comfortable, you'll sing along. Ooh, that's a little high. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.